Wouters, also known as Letman, is a practitioner of the lost art of psychedelic and delirious penmanship, a letterer whose precisely honed technique hides behind a world of unbridled alphabetic experimentation. He operates between modes of illustration, graffiti, graphic design, painting, and it's a hybrid practice that can be traced back to his somewhat schizophrenic education. He first studied the rigor of classical typography and calligraphy at the Royal Academy in The Hague, and after that he went to the Rietveld Academy in Amsterdam, where he was exposed to a conceptual design methodology and was taught by many of Holland's most progressive designers. All of this resulted in a fascinating mix of an archaic art form with an entirely self-aware conceptual practice, somehow melding worlds as disparate as illustrated gold-leafed manuscripts on one hand with photocopied flyer aesthetics on the other. His work draws from history but is not beholden to it. At the core of his practice, though, is a humble engagement with his materials and a desire to make his work feel inevitable, as in pieces that feel that they belong right where they are. Oh. Well, thank you. I like your beard, too. It's not as nice as my beard, but whatever. Is this going to go on the whole time? No, it looks like you're out of room, actually. Okay. Since starting his... Actually, I was... At the core of his practice, though, is a humble engagement with his materials and a desire to make his work feel inevitable, as in pieces that feel... Okay, I said that already. Since starting his practice in 2006, the Amsterdam-based designer has worked for clients such as the New York Times Magazine, Audi, Tommy Hilfiger, Heineken, Playboy, and Duvel, creating editorial illustrations, fabric prints, posters, typefaces, site-specific murals, and even body paint designs. Okay. He is a recipient of numerous design awards and honors, and one of his videos that you will see tonight has been viewed 1.7 million times on YouTube. This is taking too long. In 2012, his first monograph was published by Gestalten, documenting the first 5 years of his practice. I'm just going to keep going. And yesterday, Job created a beautiful mural for us right upstairs, which I hope you saw, which he'll talk about tonight. Comb it. No, I don't comb it. Do you want... I worked really hard on this introduction, just so you know. After the walker, Job's next trip is to Moscow, where he will create a giant mural in the middle of Gorky Park as part of a year of cultural exchange between Russia and Holland, which seems appropriate since Job's work can be seen as one big conversation that he is having with the world. I've only got one more line, so you gotta... I think you're in for a treat tonight, so please help me welcome Job Wouters.
Let me know if... yeah, this works. I wanted to ask if this works, but it works. I don't have to do like this, because then I will look like a gnome. I can just stand up, I guess. Thank you for showing up in these large numbers. As Emmett just said, my name is Job Wouters, but it feels weird not to say it myself. So my name is Job Wouters. I've prepared a bit of a show tonight, and I will partly need some assistance from some of you. And I know this can be, this can feel a bit weird when I'm asked to participate while watching a lecture. I start watching my knees and my toes, but I will promise you, it will not just be you helping me. It will be a trade. So you will not work for free, and I brought gifts, and I will make live gifts. So I think it's best to just start right away. I brought a text, and I need someone to help me out with this text, to read it. Someone who, actually someone who has two important qualities. One will be a good voice, obviously, and then the other would be a short name, not too long, and a typographically interesting name. And I was thinking 4 or 5 characters. Anyone? 4 or 5 characters, 3 characters maybe. Someone willing? What is your name?
Drew.
Drew? Yeah, we can do it as Drew. I think we can do this. Come on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to?
Yes. Let's check this out. Yes, this works, Drew. The thing that everyone who helps me tonight will receive is a present and also a very warm applause. So maybe we could train this already and give Drew an applause for his being brave. So Drew, what I would like you to read is this text. Yeah, it is. I think it will take approximately 4 or 5 minutes, and I would recommend you to read slowly, because the more time you give me to make your present, the more elaborate it will get. It is a text that my friend and painter Gijs Vrieling, who will occur on many occasions in this lecture, wrote as a preface for my book, and I wanted it to share with you. So Drew, you can start here. It is 2 pages. Well, it's 1.5. And again, I would advise you to take it as easy as possible. You feel comfortable?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. And I will start making your present.
Wonderful. Body language. Our generation occupies the time between an era when everyone was able to write by hand and a future when hardly anyone will. It is conceivable that our grandchildren will no longer learn penmanship. The presently unchallenged importance of teaching penmanship in schools seemingly masks the fact that handwriting is already superfluous. The disappearance of handwriting will fundamentally change the nature of a child's thought processes during the transition from having a physical, spatial, and lively imagination to a precise but also limited language-based one that comes from practicing penmanship. In the period when a child is learning to write, when the difference between a letter and a drawing is still minor, when it still takes great effort to make letters the same size and position them neatly on one line, when letters sometimes appear in mirrored form, and an E may still include 4 or 5 horizontal lines, the human mind is carefully being prepped for the limitations of the abstract culture within which it will have to spend the rest of its life. As soon as a child can write, and often even before, the keyboard enters the classroom. If you imagine the progression from drawing to writing to typing, you can visualize the hand gradually withdrawing from the material world. In the best case scenario, this mental reduction of lively, colorful images into static, black symbols will not result in the loss of all our pre-linguistic views of the world, and a place will remain in the soul where we can preserve our tactile, physical connection to the earth. Learning to write is also tied into learning that some things are essential and right, while others are superfluous and wrong. The hand, with its attendant line, moving smoothly and freely through space, is broken in. Loops, curls, and frills are trimmed away. What is important is the message, and this must be captured in only stark, upright letters. The burgeoning oeuvre of Job Wouters Job Wouters, proves that the body language of writing can also be a subject of endless practice, eloquence, and adventure. Job's enthusiastic approach to practicing and perfecting the tool that is his hand is exceptional. Around us, the collective focus seems to have shifted, creating something from nothing with an immediate result being of utmost importance. Tireless practice seems to be a rare commodity. The attraction of Wouters' work, certainly for many young epigones, comes from the flowing ease with which his letters are displayed. He does not often publicize the fact that this quality is built on miles' worth of practice. Some sheets in this book are an exception to this rule. The flawless repetitions of an improvised movement are impressive in their combination of sweeping suppleness and remarkable precision. Wouters continually finds new ways to reinvent letters beyond their dynamic origins. Words from his hand make us suspect that even our cool Roman writing is the product of an earlier volatile history. His words are laid out on the page like fresh sea creatures, and you would swear that, every so often, one of them still quivers. I used to think that the enormous, vividly colored words that Job used to write in tunnels and on city walls might be of less relevance to his current work than the fact that he once was a skilled fencer and an excellent fisherman.
Hey, another round of applause.
Thank you so much. Awesome.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, Drew. I hope I spelled it correctly. Did I?
DRU, actually.
I will make another one for you after the show, I promise.
No problem. It's not the first time.
I thought I forgot something, and that was the spelling check. Well, this is a good start. One of the things that that Drew with a U just told us in Gijs's text is about the children. Actually, that is what I like about the text so much, is that more than half, or I think 3/4 of the text has nothing to do, or has a lot to do with my work, but it's not specifically about my work, but about a child's wildness and its transition from being wild to being, let's say, tamed and forced into writing the letter forms that we all know. And about this this very thing, my brother and me made a movie, and that is the movie that Emmett referred to in his speech. And well, I propose we have a look at this first, and then I'll tell some more about this movie afterwards. This film was born in our studio. Let me get this out of the way. This is all secret. I used to share a studio with my brother, Roel. And obviously my part of the studio was covered in letters and letter forms. And his son, Gades, who by the time was, I think, 3 or 4 years old, I was very fascinated by the things that I was doing. And he started copying it. And at one point he was sitting on my lap and I was writing sort of elaborately, and he was doing all this crazy stuff. And I put those two drawings next to each other on the wall. And later on we thought there's something to this. We have to make a movie. And from there on, I have to give all the credit to my brother, who's a great director, and I made this movie. So now it is time for some new text reading, new volunteer also, and this time I would like to have someone on the stage who likes dancing. Anyone likes to dance? Well, I sort of anticipated on this reaction. So I will do the dancing, and I will ask someone of you to read a text. So, and it's even a smaller text. So it's hard to top Drew. This is true because he did a very, very, very well job. But I need someone, and there will be an exchange. There will be an exchange. Anyone? Yes? Come over, please. Hello.
Hey.
What is your name?
Brandon.
Hello, Brandon. Can I have an applause for Brandon? Thank you so much, Brandon. I have this text for you, and I'll say some words about it before you start reading it. And I have to look where I left it. Yes, here it is. This is a text, and actually, it's my application for a postgraduate school. Well, sort of in Amsterdam. It's called the Rijksacademie. I'm applying for the Rijksacademie right now. It's a residency, and it's a very chic one. I wanted to share it because I had to put in very precise words what I'm about and what I'm doing and where I come from. And yeah, if you can, I will give you the same advice. If you take it as easy, as slow as possible, then you give me the most time to make something for you.
All right.
I will do the dancing. You will do the reading. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do it.
Dear committee, I am interested in language, handwriting, and handmade typography. All letters originate from the handwritten letter. I am inspired by the classic, folkloric, and contemporary styles of handwriting. And I am to create tension by relating these to each other or placing them in a new context. I am also interested in the suggestive power of language and text. Just like with letters, I isolate, dissect, or distort text, and I use punctuation, hyphenation, spelling mistakes, and rhythms to discover new communicative values. In a world where manual craft is supplanted more and more by digital technique, I find the universal and physical nature of handwriting fascinating. Most people acquire their penmanship in their early youth, but do not practice it much later in life. The hand degenerates. I strive to give the human aspect of handwriting a place in my work, without allowing it to become nostalgic, and without creating pastiches. Over the years, through daily training, I have become an expert in the sense that I master a great variety of writing techniques, lettering as a verb. I experience a constant tension between mastery and expression. One can write from the hand, the arm, or from the entire body, where it acquires a fantastic resemblance to dancing. Aside from my fascination with the physical aspect of penmanship, I am increasingly interested in the artistic possibilities of working with text. There are countless contemporary artists who work with text, but the majority originate from a conceptual tradition, something I feel less connected to. I am aiming for a monumental poetic use of text. I want my letters to be not simply instrumental, but to become part of the subject as well. I attempt to use language in a clear, monumental way, and admire the work of American artist Steve Powers for precisely these qualities. I experience the limitation of exclusively using language as something powerful. I can evoke something without showing it overtly. I can give my viewers hints with text, to simultaneously confuse or excite them through its typographical appearance. I find this a particularly beautiful and direct relationship between form and content. I see similarities with music. Here, too, one can often find an extraordinary mutual influence between text, meaning, and sound, form. Here, too, these two factors can reinforce, weaken, or alienate one another. In typography, one can operate in an activist manner like Barbara Kruger. One can organize as Jan Rothhuizen?
Rothuizen.
Roth-
He's Dutch, excuse
I
me.
apologize. Does. Or create poetry like Ed Fella. The power of the artist typographer lies in the authenticity and precision of the chosen voice in relation to the subject. I am constantly redefining this notion for myself in order to apply this force in a natural and autonomous way in my work. Yo, Wouters.
Thank you so much. You're welcome. Wow, you're so professional, both of you. Yeah, I could never have done this text as good as you. Thank you so much. We saw some techniques now displayed live, but also on the movies, or the movie, I have to say, because we have seen one. And we're about to see another film, and also this one I made with my brother Roel. This film features a tool I designed, and I thought of it already a long time ago. It is a sort of boyish dream. It's a tool that allows you to use 7 spray cans at the same time. And when I was younger, I was very much into graffiti, so this was sort of the ultimate for me. And but I'm not much of a mechanic, and but then I got this. So I never built it, but then I got this grant from the Dutch government, and I thought now is the time. Yeah. So I had a professional engineer, René Bakker, build it. It's actually a steering wheel of a bike. It's a very Dutch design with 7 spray cans attached to it. And well, you can control the on and off of the spray cans by the brakes. And yeah, it is something that I'm constantly, not constantly, but I try to do, is to explore new tools, because then by creating your own tools, also the aesthetic output you create changes. I can write with all kinds of different things, and all these different things or tools have different outcomes. And you can, of course, use the existing ones and dive into old techniques. But then every so often, it's very refreshing to create an own new tool. And yeah, that's where this movie is about. It's a demonstration movie for this tool, so let's have a look. one of the things that I learned from making this movie was to trust on last minute decisions, and also to trust on your gut feeling, because one of the things that makes this movie, in my point of view, is also the oddness to it. It's particularly weird movie, the way we're dressed, corresponding with this machine, and then the weird hats. It is completely bonkers in a way. But we wanted to make something which was not a cold studio piece, but a bit more of a warm or clownish film. And so Roel said, yeah, I hire some weird suits. And I did. And then the very last decision was that I hired these suits, and then I saw, yeah, but they can resemble the lines of the machine. So then I bought new spray cans, because I already bought spray cans, but in fitting, matching colors. And I think that is, some of the better points of this, stronger points of this movie. And also the hats, for example. I was paying the guy at the rental store, and he says, "Would you like hats with it?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And I took him to Roel, and he said, "You bought hats?" I said, "Yeah, I got them." And then we decided to use them, and I think that also added up in a way. So it's very good to control things and design processes. What's also good, I learned here, is to let go, and also let the play factor be a part of that process. And then about odd things, I thought it'd be good to share some more odd things and personal things. I have a folder on my desktop which says things, and I was a bit in doubt whether to share it or not, but I thought the series is called Inside, so I should share the things folder, and I'll put it on. I'll put the folder on slideshow, and then maybe sometimes I stop and tell something. If someone feels the urge to shout stop, that's also fine. But let's see. Okay. Things. Preview. Yes. Well, this I think I kept these things folder changes rapidly, so it's all quite actual. The images are often very shitty quality, so I hope that you were able to see it, and that this is okay. This one I think I saved it because it shows. For me, it shows the strength of typography and language and this combination. This quote, imagine that you drive by this quote every day to your work and you don't really enjoy your work. I think that at one point it will just get at you, and I think it's a good example of what typography and language can do. And I think it's also very beautifully made, very weird in a way, very naive, but that totally fits the message. Okay, I'll put it on play. First image, I think there are 60, so I won't talk with every image. Yeah, these two pieces have a sort of resemblance, I thought. The first was about the power of typography, and then this, and then I saw this later on, and I thought it's more or less the same image, eh? Welcome home, welcome home. But then here, the typography fails. I think image wins. So image can, of course, also win. Let's continue. This, I just found out that is actually an art project. I didn't know it was an art project. I thought it was an actual inquiring neighbor, which was very sweet, and then this totally negative reaction, but taking the effort to be super negative. I mean, if you're super negative, you just ignore this thing. No, but you want to tell Candy, fuck you, Candy. I think what kind of a person would do such a thing? It struck me. See, there's must be more. Well, this, I'll stop at every image, I think. Well, no, but this is, at first sight it's graffiti, but every typographer in this room would agree that this is a very elegant piece of typography. It says girls, girls, girls. You could even get more girls attached. Girls, girls, girls. It can endlessly repeat itself. I think it's super smart. The message is beautiful. The handwriting is strict. There is still grace to be found on the streets, I think. This one struck me also. At one point, I experienced in calligraphy myself that when you're starting up, you're very much following the line of what you're doing. So you're following your stroke. But at one point, at a certain degree, you skip that and you focus on the inside forms of letters. And probably this is something that, if you have a calligraphy teacher, he will tell you that. But I was never taught. I found that out myself. And this image, I don't know where it's from. Maybe someone knows. But it reminded me of that. That principle. This is another street art thing. I'm not so so much into street art, but sometimes you find these pieces, and yeah, every so often there's a gem, and I think this is a total gem. It's very, very clever. But I think throughout these images there are more murals, Belfast murals. This is a recent fascination. There are a lot of political murals in Belfast. This is also, again, a sort of graffiti thing. At first sight you think, okay, bombed, graffiti, street, corner, but then you have a second look and then you find out that this actually one guy did all of this. So this is your regular site, but then this is just one guy. And at one point, he took it so far that he even puts his own name in signage above this store. So he sort of owns it. And I think that is, that's so crazy. You must love it in a way. This is also beautiful. This is drawn by, I think I have another image of those. This is drawn by David Barth. And he is a kid, he's 10 years old. He is a Dutch kid and he has autism. And he likes to draw animals. And I think he's just amazing and just so much better than 90% of contemporary illustration. And that's also because you feel that there's a sort of intent, that the intention is very much different. There's no artistic ego or someone who goes for an effect or wants to show off. It's just, I feel the need in this drawing to express or to gather or to, well, all kinds of very good things. 10 years old. I hope there's another image of him in this folder. This is hooligan art. Hooligan art. Here, we got another one. This is, I think, the title of this piece is 300 Birds. And I know that his mother, because I asked for information, and his mother stated that these are 300 different birds, and little David knows all of the names of the birds, and also in Latin. Wow. And I wanted to purchase it, but that was, we lost contact somewhere. A beautiful, beautiful piece. 10 years old. This is also in Belfast, I believe. Yeah, this. I mean, if the world were just a little bit more like this. Wow, I don't even know where it's painted. I came across it on the internet, and you instantly want to buy oranges, no? Whereas, you know, advertising agencies and modern day advertisers do all their best they can to lure you in or to sell stuff. It cannot top this. And it could be made in India, it could be made in Mexico, but it could also be made in the States. I don't know. Anyone has a clue? I'm very interested in vernacular typography for obvious reasons, but I would very much like to meet the person responsible for this. This is calligraphy by Herman Zapf, and he must be in his 90s right now, and I never met him, and it's my secret wish to meet Herman Zapf. I was taught by Gerard Unger, who's a type designer of Holland, known type designer, very known, world known, and he told me stories about Zapf that he used to write on handkerchiefs in restaurants and give them away as tips. And so I have this whole image of sort of super Zapf, and I'm a great admirer of his, especially of his calligraphy. So that's why it's there. And I hadn't seen this one before. It's super, super graceful. Why would you state such a thing? I don't know. And then then I think this is good. I don't understand it. You know, the urge to write something like this on a street by yourself. Prunes, eat your prunes. And then I thought maybe it has a sort of sexual connotation that I'm not aware of. But I don't think so. It's just, yeah, it's a big why factor here. This is, of course, this is a very old, weird thing. Images like this I keep for the color combinations. I think it's a super strong color combination. I think, I have to remember this blue, red, black, and green. And when I'm looking for color combinations, I always forget that I have these kinds of images. But it will remain somewhere, I think, in the mind. More Belfast. I always like the reactions also on existing typography, and then someone reacts. There's more of that in this presentation, I think. Children's drawing. This one, I showed it this afternoon, and all the American people said, "Yeah, I know that." I didn't know it, and I saw this, and it's changed my view on this kind of thing forever. I'm now in the bathroom thinking of bacon suddenly, and that's also, I think, yeah, it's a strength of this. Someone puts something in your mind and cannot get out if you want it or not. It's there. Bacon. This also. if you have a look at it, if you have a closer look at it, yeah, it is silly, of course, but there are some things happening here, because you see that it has been painted before, and then it's been painted over, so there is already some history here. Then you see that it's painted like on this size, so someone sat down to paint it, and then it's painted not with spray paint, as you would expect, but with normal paint and a brush. So someone sat down with a brush on the street with a bowl of paint, painting this specific image. Again, there's a big why factor. Yeah. Same here. I cannot look at ATM machines anymore after this. Want to put 2 E's? I don't do that anymore, but the urge is there. This is Eduardo Paluzzi, if I'm right, associated with the Futurist movement, I think. I think. Wow. It's hard in this sort of visual world to come across aesthetics or images that feel unfamiliar in a way, and then every so often it happens. And with this guy, for me, that really happened. Like, wow, don't know what it is, but I like it. It's another reaction, and also here, if you have a closer look. First I thought, oh, obviously the graffiti writer was responsible for the above piece, was pissed off and had this reaction. But then I thought, no, this is not true, because the writers from above, they have a very good can control, what's the name, the very airbrushy style skills. They cannot write as naively as the piece underneath. So it has been someone of the community who actually liked the piece and then created this, and without knowing, a sort of great conceptual piece of art. I think, because I like the below piece much better than the above piece. But I guess this is also already gone. When advertising was still great. This is also a nice image. What I like about this is that what happens when you do calligraphy exercise sheets is that somehow your unconscious comes out, because you cannot really concentrate on both writing and thinking of a good text. So I tend to write the most bizarre stuff, and obviously that didn't happen here, but there is a similarity that someone was busy making words who fit on the page, but then meanwhile secretly created some sort of concrete poetry saying her, plum, match, match, shop, rhymed, tongue, honor, raiders, robes, pride, dine, mob. I think it has a beauty to it, sort of unexpected beauty, next to the fact that I very much like the typefaces. Very negative. Oh, this is a personal picture. People often ask if I use Photoshop a lot, and then I usually respond, well, no, I don't use Photoshop so much in my professional life, but then in my private life I use it sometimes as one of the good things of being a graphic designer is that you can manipulate stuff. So then I do this. So we don't catch anything. I say line up, hold your hands, I'll put it on Facebook. And I get all these comments, this is not true, these species don't live here, they cannot coexist. And yeah. So this is my folder, things. That was the complete folder things, I think, yes. So we go on with our program, and one of the things I secretly wished for, a bit of avoiding to be the main speaker myself, which I am, but is to be interviewed. I thought it's so relaxing to be interviewed, because then you don't have to come up with everything yourself. You can respond to someone. So I thought of, well, someone of the audience maybe can interview me. I heard that there's someone already who wants, so I hope that he will step up. To make things a bit easier, I prepared some questions. But they're very generic questions. Like the first one is, for example, can you describe your working methods? It's something that if I get a mail like that, I think, nah, I don't want to answer. But anyways, it can trigger a very lively design conversation. And we're also, at the same time, we're watching a PDF of the book, which was just released. So there's some slides of my work. And the game will be a bit, these are questions if you don't know as an interviewer. If you're just stuck a bit, you think, what does your studio look like? Or you can use one of these questions. But you can also say, stop, I see something interesting, I want to talk about this. And I can also stop and say, I want to talk about this. So that will be the context of our interview settings. It will be very, very short. I think like all the little events I planned today. So I would say 5. If the slideshow ends, we stop. And I think the slideshow will be about 4 or 5 minutes. So it's not something to be intimidated with. And also there will be an exchange. Although I cannot make something live, I brought a present. So anyone? Several ones? Yes? More than one. Someone? Yeah. Well, yeah, now I have to point, I didn't take this into account. I thought no one wants to help me out. Yeah? Oh, come over. One who's most far away. And he was just doing extreme gestures. Yeah, I want. Very, very flattered. Hey. Hi.
All right.
I'm good. And you?
Very well, thank you.
We'll share.
You're going to do a duo?
Yeah, I guess we're both ready.
Ooh. Duo interview. Well.
It's intense.
That's intense, but I brought one present. This is the present.
Well,
No, I brought more. Let me. Yeah, more. I have more presents. So you have to think which one wants what. 2 presents. I'll have to get this. These are the questions. If you don't know, if you can come up with smarter questions, please do so.
I doubt it.
So, what I will do is... Cheers.
Check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Put on the slideshow. Is it going? First image. Pause. Okay. Well, so curious.
it's really great to meet you. I have a question for you. Can you tell us something about your background?
Yes, I can. Good question. As I stated earlier, as a youngster, I was very much into graffiti, which triggered me. Well, which has a lot of negative sides to it, but also I think a lot of very positive things that you're trained to look at typography and at coloring and at compositions.
Oh, that one.
Oh, do we have to say stop? You can say
Stop.
Oh,
Back.
okay, back. This is Zeitgeist. What's your question?
Oh, please tell me about this one right here on the left.
It's a series of posters for a club night in Amsterdam. It's already a bit old. I think it's in 2009. I made it with a Roel. Also, we shared a studio, and there's some projects we did together, and this was one. And yeah, the thing about making posters and flyers when I just came out of school, it just gave me the sort of the perfect podium to do whatever I wanted to do. Because obviously a poster should state, there's a party, that's what is to be communicated, and then when and where, and that's it. So then for the rest we could just play around, and I think this sort of playfulness, when we used it a lot, this was a very flexible client, I have to say. He also didn't pay really, so he could not also, yeah. At one point we decided that we both design, this is not here yet, it's been a series which has been on for quite a while. We decided that we both design a flyer and print them on both sides, and then which one was the client's best, his favorite, they would be on top while folding. So we had a game. So we made actually 2 flyers for the occasion. It was crazy. And we hold the scores were on the flyer itself. So this is a flyer competition between Job and Roel, and now it's 3-1 because he won 3-3 and I lost. No. So this is a game we played while doing so, and we had more of these kinds of games. I think here it'll be front. Pop, 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 pop. Yeah, this is also an example of us playing around in this sort of party scene, because what we did here is we both designed a flyer and printed on top of each other, which caused enormous legibility trouble. We could have never gotten away. Well, this is rather good, but the examples are not too. Well, we had some which were totally illegible, and yeah, we told the client, yeah, but this is what we want to do, and this is what you get. And in this context, you can do this. So, and then you can train yourself and become better at what you do, having a sort of free stage like that. And I think nowadays it's a bit different because most of these parties and so are communicated via social media. So the printed flyer scene is less exciting, I think. So it shifted a bit towards digital media.
What does your bathroom, your studio look like?
My studio right now, well, I have to say I'm very restless in studio surroundings. I graduated in 2004. I started my professional practice in 2006, and ever since I've had 9 studios. And the last thought I had is that I thought I don't want to become a sort of monk because of all this calligraphy and all this all this work done by myself. So I want to share the space with a lot of people. I want to have a very social working space. That was my last thought. And I've been at this very. I looked for it and I found this super very social space, and I've worked there for a year now, and I have to go. So I cannot take it anymore. So now I'm looking for a solitude, and at one, yeah, I'm a sort of frustrated, but also in peace by this sort of, not having the ability to really be somewhere. So I guess I'll just be a bit of a nomad in studio land. This one. Well, this is basically what I just demonstrated. It is a single brushed stroke technique. So everything. It's not one stroke, obviously, but it consists of single strokes. And yeah, the technique came through me, to me through Gijs Vrieling. A bit of hard to pronounce. And Gijs Vrieling. I made a book for him, which will be shown later on in the PDF. And he's a painter and a muralist, and he uses this technique a lot in his paintings and murals, which is the blending of colors in the brush. And for this book, I thought it was a good idea to sort of mimic his style or his technique. And that turned out to be very, really a sort of eye-opener. Because I thought I can also make letters of it. And it's also something that I saw before on the street, but on a very different setting. You have these Chinese people in New York, for example, and they make sort of street. They make a sort of little fishes and ornaments and names. They also use the sort of the mixed colors on the brush. And these are two alphabets or samples of writings that I taught myself using this technique. And that's what I can tell about this. It's actually some of the things that I do. I gather styles of writing, and in a way I saw a sort of similarity with more or less a regular typographer buys fonts and uses them as a sort of director. So in a way you always quote other people. If you're a designer, so you use Helvetica, you quote a designer made Helvetica. And at one point I saw this and I thought, I want to have it more of my own. And that together with this sort of fascination for drawing and typography, I just started madly collecting handwriting styles, but then by training. And so sort of ideal assignments allows me to gain another style of writing. And when I leave the assignment or it's over, I still have that in my sort of palette of possibilities. As you buy a font and you can use it afterwards. So there is some sort of similarity between the two.
So this is not on the list, but I'm curious, so you collaborate with your brother, and can you talk about some of your other collaborations, or don't you collaborate with others?
Yes, well, nowadays I collaborate a lot with Gijs Vrieling. I also collaborated a lot with my friend Ivo Sprey, who is a very versatile illustrator. We have to do something mad, but I have to go back. Can we go brrrr? I hope. What we worked on was the Undercover series posters. Is it here? It's in the beginning somewhere here. These posters are based on the Dada drawing method. So this is a sort of children's game. You must have all played it. Draw a head, you fold the paper and give it. Exquisite. Yeah. Exquisite corpse, I think in English. And I thought, what would happen if you use this technique, but then with professional illustrators, and well executed. And this is what came out. This is a series of 17 posters. They were 1 meter high, and it also allowed me or us. And that was something that I'm always aiming for, that you find a set of rules within which you can play around, and which gives you a lot of freedom to express yourself. So this is something we had to do every month. But it was never a drag. It was always fun. So in that sense, and plus it was recognizable every time. It was not every time something else. So it made a series, and it was not boring. Well, this is two very good things. I think, and this is a thing I did with Ivo Sprey. I collaborated with him quite often, and another collaborator is Gijs Vrieling, as I just told you. Well, where were we? somewhere around here. Hop, hop, hop. No, yes. Here? More questions?
Can you? I think we all agree that there's something special about, and not to be nationalistic, but there's something special about creativity in Holland and the specialness of Dutch design. And you represent this wonderfully human aspect of it that I think is really refreshing and wonderful here. Do you have any insight for us on why is Dutch design seemingly always at the forefront? And I don't mean to.
That's a good question. It was not on the list. Well, we have had, and unfortunately, it's a sort of being torn apart recently. But we've had a very supporting government always. So I think our government used to be very proud and very much upfront in supporting artists and being aware of the fact how important it is to have after school to give people space to grow and support artists and support things that don't necessarily bring in money but are very important. And this is something, well, I don't know if you're aware of the cuts in the cultural field in Holland right now, but this is very much in danger. So yes, I'm aware of the fact that it was special, and I think that this dynamic has had a lot to do with that. And I'm also fearing for the future in that sense, because I think, well, the government played an important role in this quality. Sad. Yeah. More questions? You can always grab the paper,
Okay.
huh?
Let's see.
I can also tell you something in between, to help you out a bit.
Thanks for saving us.
What happens in the slides? What you see, it's a mix of projects, applied projects, and sketches, and it actually represents my practice fairly well, in the sense that here you see sketches and here you see product, and this is also this is the way how I work. So there's constantly two things going on. So I have jobs coming in and applied practice, and then I have some other thing happening, which I recently call research and development. And research and development is a very nice term for a very large pile of doodles and experiments. And I came up with the term for a grant because I was applying for a grant, and I thought, yeah, I doodle so much. I have all this stuff, and I have to give it a professional name because I cannot say I doodle a lot. They won't give me the grant. So I call it research and development. And this is funny, but it's also in a way very serious, because after this name giving of this part of my practice, I took it far more seriously. I was always sort of ashamed of all this doodling and messing around, and I thought I'm wasting time. But it showed to be actually a very important part of my practice. And by giving it this name, that was the insight I got myself, that I should sort of take that seriously. And so now I do. I have these big drawers, and I draw a lot, and I feel good that I do it. And these two things, so you have the applied practice and research and development, they have a sort of specific dynamic to each other. That at one point a job comes in, and I start developing some handwriting for it. But so I make a nice product, and the client is happy, job ends. But I'm still not finished with this particular, let's say, handwriting style. I take it to research and development, and then I'll continue research on it. And but it also works the other way around. That sometimes I get confronted with a job, and I don't know what to do. But then I go through research and development, and I find some sort of children's handwriting from the 30s in the States, which I practiced 2 years ago in the summer for a month because I thought it was interesting. And I think, hey, this is your time to shine. So these things correlate.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll do one more.
This is the book.
Oh, go ahead.
No, this is the book I just told you about. And it's proven to be a very important book for me and also for Gijs in a way, because it was the starting. Well, we worked together before, but Gijs was the director of an art space in Amsterdam called W139. And I was making invitations for him. So he was and the director of this art space, and he was a painter himself. And at one point he asked me to design, we got to know each other, and he wanted me to design his book with his murals. And well, Gijs was brave enough to hire me because I totally took over the book in that sense that I thought it was interesting to try and push the typography to a level that you could not see the difference anymore between his work and my work. So it became more of a whole of things. And I think it was super brave of Gijs to let me do that. And we spoke about this, of course, because Gijs and me ever since sort of opposes the sort of white cube books of monographs by artists are often super well, a lot of white, good pictures, small, intimate typography, so sort of super careful. And this is a book with a lot of gut, I think it turned out to be. I think it's one of the better things I did. And we got to know each other very well, and we became good friends. And well, recently someone of the print department of Dries Van Noten found this book, and the Dries Van Noten project I did, which will be later on the slides and also show a movie afterwards, is part of, well, derived from this book. It's actually a literal translation from the book into this collection. And I never took into account that a book could be a high-end fashion collection. But so it seems. And I think, maybe we already passed it, but I think that I'll show a movie afterwards about it, and I'll tell something more about this project. So after meeting Gijs, I went berserk on this technique. I thought, this is it. This is it. Yeah. Yeah.
So do you do any like traditional typesetting, or is everything like hand lettered?
No, well, at one point, at one point I had this sort of goal for myself to, if I send something to a printer, I will not have any vector point. So I was so dogmatic about it that I redraw logos and stuff. Well, that I don't do anymore, but it was good for a while to be super strict with it in order to, to research that and to experience that, what it means. Sometimes it meant I even didn't want to. If there was a spelling mistake, if I write it out all this text, and here there was a spelling mistake, I draw a new E, scan it, and put the new E in it in the flyer, and no one ever in 1,000 years could tell that. And now I'm a little bit more pragmatic. So then I copy a E. I'm not so strict anymore, but I think it has had a function. I think we're doing it again. I think you're done. This has made it full circle. Hey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, this is for you.
Oh, cheers. Thanks.
There you go. And I have this for you. These are two risograph prints, actually of the original prints we made for the Dries Van Noten collection.
Thank you very
Great.
much.
Thank you so much. So, what is next? Next I want to show the movie of the project we just highlighted a bit. And that is the Dries Van Noten story, so to say. It was one of the best assignments I ever got. Both in a sort of human level, that we had so good contact, and it was such a pleasure to work with these guys, but also all the possibilities which derived from this initial collaboration. So what happened was we got a call that they were interested in the book. Dries Van Noten is a Belgian fashion designer, and they were interested in the book. And so we were very excited. And the funny thing is that we went there for an initial meeting, just to get to know each other. There was no question yet whatsoever. There was just a mail, can you come? We're interested in your book. So we didn't even know what it was about. And we got introduced to Dries, so we had this conversation. And it was a bit, we were very nervous, of course, because he's a famous person. And we dressed up all nicely. He wore a sort of folkloric shirt, and I thought I'd go for a sort of minimal approach. I wore black, and I bought new shoes. Well, so we got to meet Dries, and he was explaining that fashion. First we had a small lecture about fashion, and he said, "Yeah, one of the things of fashion is that it goes very, very fast." Very, very fast. And if you can join me, so he directed us, and we walked backstage somewhere to another room. And then we entered in a sort of factory, and people were already working with our garments. They printed out everything, the whole book was scanned, and they made garments. It was a sort of true Willy Wonka experience, because we were there for an initial talk. We had not decided on budget, on timings, on availability, nothing whatsoever. And they just took our book and made a collection out of it. So then suddenly I realized that he had good reasons to be a bit nervous, because we felt that, and we were nervous too, because we could have said no by that time. But he explained, I have to test this, I have to go this far just to see if it works. So we had already to get started, and we hope you join in and don't mind. So that was a fun first meeting. And afterwards, and we also instantly proposed, because we had this sort of, we thought, yeah, if we're about to design these fabrics, we also have to paint a backdrop at a show. And well, there we also found out there's a bit of cultural difference between Belgium and Holland, because we were very bold and straightforward and instantly stating our wishes. And he said, yeah, this is something we might discuss later. And we thought, oh, we screwed up, or we did something very wrong. But 2 weeks later, the mail came, can you paint the backdrop of our show at the Grand Palais in Paris, which was an enormous wall, which we will see in a second. So we painted this wall live, and part of the pleasure of working with him was I was also surprised, and at one point, for example, I had some ideas, and I thought this is just not right, and twice it proven to be very right. So during the process, I learned a lot from that. For one of these decisions, for example, was very last minute to let us paint live during the show. And I thought, yeah, it's just a gimmick. It's weird, but it worked very well, and it added up to the atmosphere, and it was a great idea. Another thing was that we were asked to do this print, but he had seen the book before, which is a risograph print, which is very rough. So he proposed, I want you to make new originals, send them to the risograph, and then we scan that, and that's what we're going to print on the fabrics. And I thought, this is also such a bad idea. Why don't we just use the scans of our original artworks, and then you have it much more precise? And I think it's beautiful if this rough quality comes out in a book, but why should that be on a garment? I thought sort of too complex. But we saw the garments, and he was very right. It was very beautiful. It was a very good decision. So, yeah, that's also to be amazed by clients like that. It was a wonderful experience, and even after, so we did both the garments and we did the backdrop of the show, and then we did we got asked to repeat this show in Italy. For a gallery owner who liked the show so much that he said, I want this in my gallery. And then we got asked to do the shop windows in Antwerp. And meanwhile, we were doing all this project together. We became a sort of artist duo, which was unexpected and very welcome. But let's have a look at the movie.
Listen, are you hung up? Alison, listen, are you hung up? One of these days, I'm going to erase everything. What is joy to me and to him is pain? Surely love is a wonderful thing. It is more precious than emeralds and dearer than fine opals. Pearls and pomegranates cannot buy it, nor is it set forth in the marketplace. It may not be purchased of the merchants, nor can it be weighed out of the balance for gold. The musicians will sit in their galleries of the young student and play upon their stringed instruments, and my love will dance to the sound of the harp and the violin. She will dance so lightly that her feet will not touch the floor.
Boys and girls, I'm Jimmy Cartwright. I'm the Indian of the group.
So that was our project for Dries Van Noten. Well, almost at the end. What I will do now is I will show you where I'm at right now. Yeah, I want to change some things. I have an urge to work, and that was after, actually it started right after the Dries Van Noten project, because we got to work a lot of times on a very large scale. And throughout the book, as you see, this is all A-size stuff. So much A-size, well, A1, one, and then sometimes you can do an A0, but still, I mean, it's not even a square meter. And then working that large, I felt so free again. I think it also has to do with, I think it has also to do with the graffiti, that I've always felt so free making something large. And I want to do it again. I want to get free from the A sizes, and I'll show some of the recent projects on a slideshow that are already free from the A size, and I'll read a text I want to ask someone, but I think by now I'm so warmed up that I can do it myself. As a conclusion, and this is also the last part of my application for the Rijksacademy. So you should see that in that light. But this speaks about this very transition I'm in right now. And let me open the slideshow. It must be this. So I'll put that on. Oh, it already goes. It's the end of my application. I see the publication of the book, which we just had a look at, as the pinnacle, and in a sense as the conclusion of my career as an applied typographical designer. At this moment, my work is in a transitional phase. I increasingly feel the need to formulate my own assignments, to answer my own autonomous questions. This concerns conceptual freedom, but also the physical form that my work takes. During a few recent projects, I came to learn that my work gains power over expression and meaning when it enters into a relationship with a space. During the past years, I have mostly created relatively small works, and I would like to shift my focus to murals, drawings, and paintings on a larger scale. Currently, I'm practicing this through and alongside my professional practice. I try to take assignments out of their applied context and bring them closer to myself. A recent example of this was a lecture request from the Walker Art Center in Minneapolis. Next to feeling honored and obviously accepting the invitation, I also asked if there was a possibility to paint a mural at the Institute. This way, I try to bend my applied practice into a more autonomous practice. I aim to accelerate and intensify this process. I am seeking space and ground for this development. I'm incredibly hungry for the critical reflection that I find too poor in my professional context, as well as the theoretical enrichment for which I currently lack the time. I am aware that I am moving in a reverse direction, so to speak, where many young artists are currently experiencing difficult circumstances. I'm transforming my safe applied practice into an uncertain art practice. I made this choice because I have a steadfast belief in personal and artistic growth through change of environment and input. I'm looking forward to undergoing this development by way of this residency. Well, that is the end of the story, and it's also, I think, the end of the slide. Here we see my very last piece, which is the home piece. Yeah, that's it. Basically, home. This is home, and home is where the heart is. I thank you very much. So, Emmett. Yeah, I think, well, there's usually a Q&A, but I had already some sort of Q&A in the middle. But I am very okay with asking questions. Actually, I kind of like that. So if you do have any more questions, yes? I have a microphone somewhere. Do I? Oh, yeah.
In the Netherlands, there's a growing population of Moroccan and Turkish backgrounds, and I'm wondering if you've tried to push your design in a way that might reach them, and how you might challenge yourself, either in your flair for how your script is, or your choice of colors. But there's a huge population that you may or may not be reaching.
It's interesting. No, well, actually, I don't think so much about the where I make my work for, or for whom I make my work. I think of contexts, of course, and I'm also a trained designer, so I'm aware of the better you are in control of what you want to say, and the better you are aware of the how to do so, the better of a designer or artist you are. But no, I'm not specifically aiming at any subcultures, new or not new, in the Netherlands. But yeah, well, that is it.
I have a question. Is your book available in this country?
I hear a voice, but I don't see a face.
I will stand up. Okay.
There you
are. Twofold question. Is your book available in this country?
Yes.
And is it possible to get some of your typographic shirts?
Which typographic shirts?
The ones that you showed. Actually, the one that you showed in your slideshow of your work. That's on your website.
Is there typographic shirts on there? Well,
it's got your calligraphy across it.
Calligraphy shirts. I cannot really recall, but
It's for the fashion line.
Oh, sorry. Of course. No, I thought T-shirts.
Yeah,
really.
no, not T-shirts.
Shirts, of course.
Shirt.
These are not more available. No. They are very short. This is one season available. But in T-shirts, there is. I made T-shirts for Stussy, which will come out this spring. So they will also be in the United States. So yeah, it's something else from Dries Van Noten, but it's something you could buy up here. Any more questions? Yes?
Hi, I have an admiration for your attention to detail and your commitment to your line work, and I was just wondering if you have a favorite brush or a favorite tool that if you had to save one thing from a fire, you would take that.
Well, one of the recent discoveries is this specific pen. Well, recent is I think 2 years, but it exists much longer. But it's called Pilot Parallel Pen, but you must be aware of it if you're into that now. Do you know it? Yeah. Okay. And then this guy, you also must know it. I think the brush pen. And this specific one?
That color?
Well, not the color, but the type that you can squeeze it. No? You can get one of me. I don't know if they're available here, but they're not. They're a few euros, and that is one of my favorite for line work. So meet me afterwards. You get you get one of those, because I would recommend all of you to try it, because it's a pleasure. Yeah. Yes.
I have to wait for the mic.
Thank you.
Now the excuse me, the research and development that you were talking about earlier, the pile of doodles. Have you found, since you titled it that it's kind of taken away from the childlike enthusiasm that might have occurred before you gave it that title, where it was just kind of fun? So looking back on, say, the pile of where this was just my doodles, and now that I'm calling it research and development, although you're taking it more seriously, is there still that enthusiasm in those drawings?
Yes.
Okay.
I think even more so, because I was always you know, you're not drawing comfortably if you think you're wasting time. And now I say I can do this. This is part of my practice. So actually, it's but the things I enjoy most. I mean, some assignments I like, of course, I like assignments. But then to have 2-3 hours to just first I go shopping, buy a new kind of paint that I don't know, and then well throw some solvent with it and mix it a bit, and just I think the playing only became easier afterwards. Less guilt. And guilt is another good motivator.
On that similar vein of, I mean, you showed the video of the young child making the type, and then how you're creating a more like constructed version of that. I was wondering sort of what you think about when you're actually making the type. If you're thinking about like nothing whatsoever, or just like letting loose, but still maintaining that sort of structure of the type.
You mean in what the type that I did?
I mean, like in general, when you're creating something, I was wondering what you're thinking about, because obviously with the child, they don't really. I mean, they think about what they're doing, but they're not like thinking about what like they're creating in the context. They're just letting it happen.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you could talk about how you sort of maintain that letting it happen, but also creating something that you want to show. You know?
Well, that's two different things, I think. But the thinking and calligraphy or drawing at the same time, I think it is a very interesting area. Because, if you're very concentrated on a letter form, you cannot really think of something else. So it also eases the mind. But I don't know exactly if you meant that. It's very hard to maintain the wildness of a child. I mean, that is, it's impossible. If you learn things, and by learning them you also lose specific qualities. So as wild as a child is good to aim for, but impossible to reach, I would say. Yeah, but I like all these things next to each other. I like all these specific ways of concentration next to each other. I think to paint a large mural with one of the tools that I designed, it requires a complete different kind of concentration than painting from your hand. You can write, as I said in the piece, you can write from the hand and from the arm. It's already different. But then with this machine, of course, you have to do enormous moves, and also the state of mind is differently. But how different that is, or what the specific differences are, that is hard to tell. But there are different states of mind. Yeah.
Hi. So I've noticed in a lot of your work, you show a lot of different experimenting in different styles of typography. But have you ever experimented in non-Roman alphabets, or do you have interest in doing that?
Yes, I have. Well, as Emmett said in his preface, I have to go to Russia soon to make a mural, and now I'm trying to write Cyrillic script, and the weird thing is that you don't know what the borders are of what will be readable for the Russian people and what not, and this is something you can easily judge while working with the Roman alphabet, of course. I think, okay, but this A is just passing the legibility test, but then I don't know how wild I can get with the Cyrillic. So that is, and I find it super interesting, especially that part, because I have a Russian colleague at my studio. So I show her sometimes the sketches, and then she can point out, this you can do, you can get away with, and this, there's something weird happening here. No.
Can you talk about, or a little bit about, sort of the transition between being a student and being a worker or a professional, and if there were difficulties you had with that, or if it was, parts of it were smooth sailing?
Yeah, I think I had a bit of a false start in the sense that when I started out, there was an enormous craze for handmade typography. I think 2004 this started in the design world, and for me it was not that for me it was a very logical thing. I've been doing that for a lot of time. So by the time it became a craze, I was already the expert. So I could get some good paying jobs, and then I also thought it's easy money because the surroundings were like that, and commercial field was very interested. So then I thought, yeah, I can just draw letters and then make money and go on holidays, and I had a very cheap overhead. So I thought, this is so easy. And of course this changed after, well, the craze changed, but also the crisis hit in. So making money is not the easiest, but it normalized. I don't think I was lucky in a sense, and I'm also aware of the fact that it was not that I was this sort of superhero because I got all these jobs, but it was also the moment in time, the combination of these two things, and that allowed. And I'm very lucky with that. I was very lucky with that because it allowed me to use the time and space to broaden and deepen my work, and I think I sort of came a long way. If I look at work of in this era, from this period, which is still on my side, I think a lot happened, but I could make this growth because of this circumstances, and more question here. Drew.
Well, I kind of want to ask the question, I mean, for me, that's the one that is like kind of like a secret question, but I want to see your basic approach to applying these colors to brush, and just like if you could go over basic materials, and just, not that I'm trying to bite your style, but I'm curious about what goes into that, and also I'm really mystified by, as probably other people are, by like how clean the fades are as well, and like how the color fading is just achieved.
It's not that easy. It's not that hard, I wanted to say. I can show a little bit. I will not do a workshop, but this is something you can buy here. This is just gouache. You can also use watercolor, and well, let's do a fresh sheet. What you basically do is you take 2 drips of color. I had white here. I had a lot of trouble getting it out. So you have one of these, and let's say what would work well on black, turquoise. So you make 2 little stripes. Of course, on a large scale, as I did at the entrance, it's a different technique. I use a casein binder there, which is sort of ancient binder. It's a technique I learned from Gijs, and pigments. And this is just from the tube. So you could use gouache or also watercolor. The watercolor is a bit tougher. You could also use these little buckets of how's this called? Fluid acrylics. You know these? You can use them, but also that mix in on the brush very rapidly. So you have to be. It's a bit of a struggle. And this is a bit thicker, so you can better control it in a way. So this is it. A bit of here, a bit here. There you go. Well, and then there's of course a sort of perfect stage of your brush. That is something that you learn through experience. That you think, okay, now it's ready. You do the little test. Yeah. So now it's ready. So now I can do all kinds of nice little tricks, flowers. You have YouTube tutorials. You should check them out. And it's sort of in the art and crafts series. People painting little wooden objects, and I enjoy these things always very much. I steal a lot from the sort of arts and crafts tutorials. I think, yeah, this is the way. You know, you have also these sort of tutorials that they well, I could talk endlessly about it, but yeah. More questions? And you can also do this with a large brush, of course, because it's just a pity to leave it just there and not use it, and not get it in the brush at least, you know. So a bit more water. It's always, yeah, it's such a joy. I mean, whoop, whoop, whoop. So if I want to make an E, it's also always nice to mirror it so that these two sides are mirrored. It works fairly well. Well, I used it a bit. More questions?
Hey, I see that you draw a lot of arrows, you know, and given that I love arrows, I want to know if you have something to say about that. You know, why and they're not characters, okay? So
arrows. Yeah, well, the doodle things I just did as an exchange for the exchange program, so to say. Where is the marker? Gone. Oh no, it's here. This is something that I do, well, if not daily, then weekly, and it's a sort of it's exercise. Also, if you start calligraphy, I always have to get warmed up a bit, and by doing so, the arrows point out the direction. So I like to just feel sheets like this and look how, you know, how strict I can get it. And then not once, but then, and then try to make a complex form and repeat it. And at one point I started to add arrowheads, and that felt good. And I continued doing it. Now to show that it's a movement, and people confronted with it, they consider it sort of dance instructions. And you could dance this, of course, it would be something like, so it's also one of my secret wishes is to collaborate with someone who can work with dancers. Yeah, it'd be a total dream to give this sort of sheets to people and that they translated it. It would be a miracle. Yeah. Well.
I'm curious that it seems your design, your typography design, are going towards more like performance. Would you talk a little bit about the typography design between different medias, the video, on paper, in book? And it seems that you are consciously doing this in different ways. I'm curious about that.
Yes, this is true. I think it's also lately the physical aspect of it, of the large-scale drawings and paintings, interest me a lot, as I just said in this final letter. And there's also a social reason, because if you're working by yourself in your studio, making little letter forms for 2 years, there's danger that you become a bit mad, you know. And I also experienced it, you know, being we painted, for example, the Dries Van Noten show with 8 assistants. And the whole experience to making something together and saying, you can do this here, you can do this there, and having all those hands also joining up was very enlightening in a way. So that was a sort of social factor that I also experienced that I never took into account. I always thought that graphic design was something very static behind a computer, and so that's something I found out while shifting the media. And then the movies, I think my brother Roel is a large influence in that, because he is basically someone who is always trying to explore the new. He has a shared company with Luna Maurer, who will speak next week. You should all go and see her. And I think that I've gathered people around me, that is maybe more what I do, who are interested in different kinds of ways of working. So then naturally it also reflects on me. So by having Ivo Sprey next to me, he is a man who's very focused on a line. He's a master of the line. He's way better than me in that regard. So I could learn a lot technique-wise from him. And then with Gijs Vrieling next to me, he's someone who is very articulate about his work and and of course makes these very large murals, which also had an effect on me. And working with my brother, who was always very keen on new techniques, also ended up, you know, for me, it was a trigger to start designing tools. So I think it's very important that you search for people around you and try to avoid becoming a monk too much. I
think that's all we have time for, so thank you.
Okay. Thanks again.